Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Yo, yo. All right, everybody. Currently prepping a couple things. Second streaming session of the week. All right. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're doing well. It's another day, another night, I should say, where I got to focus on prepping, building, designing, printing, modeling, etc., doing a whole lot in preparation for SuperCon. In case you did not hear it before, I was invited to be in the Artist Alley to have my own booth to showcase my artworks. And one of my main goals that I'm trying to prepare for it is to have my own figurines to then showcase and, of course, have available for any of you that are interested. Now, this is, of course, quite a bit of an undertaking on my part. I have worked with designing things to print before. However, doing a figurine line means having consistency across designs, keeping, continuity, trying to think a little bit more mass production of sorts. There's a lot kind of involved that is definitely challenging, but exciting, because there's only one way to get good at stuff, and that's by kind of throwing yourself in the thick of it and seeing what you can do. Jammed out, yo, how you doing? Hey, Juniper, good to see you. Glad you're in the chat. For those of you that are on Instagram, keep in mind that I will be streaming predominantly. Oh, I see it wasn't even showing through. I will be streaming predominantly through YouTube as well as Twitch. IG tends to be a little less forgiving. It's a little glitchy sometimes, which is a little frustrating, but it is what it is. We do what we can. I will do some occasional live streams where it's just the phone, the more traditional, I guess, approach on IG. Just, it's hard to show you my screen, hard to show you what I'm working on up close. I think that's better for more like just chatting type of setups. And I don't have a lot of time to just chat, at least at the moment. So today I will try to lock in a little bit more and just get more done with regards to this current project I have in mind. That being said, I'm excited for what it is. If you were with me yesterday, we essentially did a rundown of a lot of different designs and trying to prioritize which one would be best to pursue, which ones can be set back in the back burner. Let me load it up real quick just to kind of do a quick refresher. So these were the designs. These are not updated with the coloring, but that's fine. The current one that's been chosen to be modeled that I'm in the process of are these two. Last we were together, I was modeling this one on the right hand side, which I believe the unofficial name designated to it was Schmingle. I may have messed that up. I think it was Bringle and Schmingle. Bringle on the left, Schmingle on the right. Again, unofficial. I don't think I can easily market those names, but they're definitely catchy for us, at least here in the stream. So my goal, at least for today, is to either finish off this one on the right or do a rough model of the one on the left along with it. Now, I'm not planning on doing a long stream today. Today should be rather quick because I have an early morning tomorrow. Got a lot of things to do, so if I don't talk too much, my apologies. Again, I got to lock in. But if you want to ask any questions, feel free to do so. Just give me a little bit of time to respond and give a little input on my end. To kind of help out to see where we're at as far as the 3D model goes. This is a Schmingle at the moment. Added some basic materials to kind of get a feel for it. In a nice orthographic where it's flattened, I think it translates a little bit better along with the image. However, when we go into perspective and things are a little bit more stretched out, it doesn't translate quite as well. I'll try shifting the lens, the focal length a little bit to get it a bit more accurate to our own. Yes, this is Blender. Blender is my preferred 3D modeling software, mainly because since it's open source, it's so customizable. There's so many like great ways to modify it, improve it, just make it, you know, that much nicer. That being said, a lot of my previous experience was with Maya, and actually today I'll be hopping into ZBrush, which is probably another S-tier modeling program, but it's more sculpting. So what I'm essentially doing is one approach where I'll do a basic kind of 3D model of it. Think simple geometry, you know, nothing too complicated. And then later on, I'll export this out and toss it into ZBrush where I can kind of sculpt it a little bit more refined. JP Lanzas, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you for joining. Again, those of you on IG, feel free to jump on Twitch or YouTube. I think YouTube is a little bit hard to find me. I don't have my SEO down on that end. But Twitch is a little bit easier of a setup. Just look for Aldo_Infinite Moons. If you want to stay on IG, perfectly fine. No worries there. Just note that the vertical kind of setup can be a little limiting and cuts off some stuff that I try to show. It's giving like a mushroom vibe. Yes. Yeah, it definitely does. And surprise booty there. Yeah, it has a lot of these designs will kind of mimic all sorts of different shapes. This is the wonderful thing about just dealing with simplicity. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of variations, and I think that's part of the fun. The only consistency will be the color schemes, and of course the concept of positive, negative space, suns, black holes, again, emitter of light, absorber of light, that sort of thing. But I want them to kind of be reminiscent of all sorts of stuff. Some people are referencing it has a bit of a Pokemon vibe, and I'm not mad at that. I think that's cool. If you want to collect them all, feel free to try to. So my end goal, again, to have something a bit closer to this, but more refined. I'm not fully happy with the model just yet. Again, we're in the bare bones stage, but I think it's promising. That being said, any of you have any questions, again, feel free to chime in. If not, I'm just gonna get to work, see what I can make. Z Strobes, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Hopefully you'll get notifications and you can join in anytime. Again, I usually try to keep these streams a little bit on the chill side. So if you want to work on something while I work, you can do so. I'll kind of just be your friend hanging out in the room in the meantime. Now, any of you that have ever used Blender before, I'm kind of using the benefit of being able to add all sort of modifiers. But for the sake of ZBrush, the other software I'll be using today, I'm going to export it low poly so I can have more room to kind of play around with later on. All right, let's see. I'm gonna do a quick OBJ export. I'm not too worried about the materials right now, so FBX is unnecessary. Temp link is down. Yeah, I don't have that set up at the moment. Honestly, I haven't been requesting tips or anything like that. I appreciate the thought though. I can get that set up at some point if you really feel the need to. Just you kind of being with me is enough of a tip at the moment. Or if you really want to support, again, I'll be at SuperCon Artist Alley. You can get one of these figurines in RL if you're able to make it through. Again, July 18th to the 20th out in the Miami Beach Convention Center. A great place. In fact, if you go to SuperCon, I highly recommend hanging out at the beach. There's so much to do aside from just the fair itself. PGDRS, thank you for the follow. Squirt, thank you for the follow. Is that John? We got John here? All right, glad you guys are here. Definitely follow through. Yes, sir. Awesome. How are the music releases going? Thank you, Lanzas, with the subscribe. Got another subscriber. Appreciate that. They're going. You have some fire beats, good bangers. Again, those of you joining in, it is pretty early in this setup. Again, I hadn't streamed in quite a while, so a lot of these setups I'll be prepping, adjusting. I'd like to get it to the point where every single time someone subscribes or follows, I'll get like some lighting cues, a little bit easier for me to kind of understand what's going on. Thank you, sir, Squirt, for the subscribe. I appreciate that. If I'm allowed to play some of your songs on a stream, maybe in the future we can have some of them going. I don't know what the licensing issue is with that and Twitch and YouTube and all that. Those of you on IG, thank you very much for joining. Again, I'm also streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Twitch seems to be a little bit easier for this type of stuff. Again, just look for Aldo_Infinite Moons. If you want to continue watching on IG, no problems whatsoever. Just the template's a little limiting. All right, so at the moment, I'm making figurines, trying to design them so I can resin print, airbrush them, sculpt them out, and have them ready for SuperCon. Yeah, I know some of you are hopping in just now, so if you're curious at all, again, it's what I'm doing, why you see these random little creatures on the screen, you'll kind of know what it is. Right now, I'm just exporting out the basic model so I can import it into ZBrush to continue it a little bit further. I'll leave the concept art up for now for some of the designs. Thank you for the cheer. You always know how to hype the crowd up. Now, there's not a lot of time from now to SuperCon, so focus is there. Today's stream, although will be short, hopefully I'll get plenty done, but I will be streaming again on Thursday, just in case for those of you that are just kind of hopping in out of curiosity. I may not have a lot of time. I would like to make this a regular thing, especially from here till SuperCon, and even after that, I have quite a few things planned out. And another cool project happening in November, but no talks on that yet. Gotta keep you guessing. Z Strobes, thank you for the cheer. Appreciate those 100 bits. Oh, we got good people here. Schmingle exporting the body right now. Schmingle body. Schmingle head crown. Is a camera moving? Yes, you are correct. The camera is in fact moving. You are not drunk. There's nothing wrong with you. At least from my end, I don't think so. I'm sure you're perfectly fine. Yeah, I'm currently using a bit of my telekinesis to have the camera move. I think it makes it a little bit more interesting, a little more cinematic as well. Or both. It could be both. I don't know. I don't know if you've been taking a couple swigs yet. Or not condone that, though. Taco Tuesday? I didn't follow through with tacos today. I messed up. I had an arroz con frijoles. Some chicken on the side. Such a typical Hispanic. Merge these eyes and do an export. Thank you for the cheer. Another 100 bits. Now, I don't know too much about this whole bit situation. I'm not sure how that compares to everything else. I mean, keep it coming, but there's a lot of the little things I still don't have down. Like, I want to get commands working as well so that you guys can make things happen. In the past, I've had little characters you guys can control too. Oh, hey, Shally. Glad you were able to join in. Thank you. I am doing pretty good. A lot going on. Stressed, but for good reason. Trying to stay artsy. As I'm sure you're well aware, keeping that creative bone active is always healthy for the soul. All right, I have my little exports down. Let me get ZBrush open. Shelly. What's new with you guys? By the way, anyone here seen How to Train Your Dragon? I have some friends that are telling me to check it out, saying it's worthwhile, but I want to kind of feel out other people's opinions before I commit to getting tickets. By the way, also let me know if music is a little too loud, or if my voice is too loud, or the opposite. Here, let me edit this on the fly. Hey, Zach. Glad you could join again. Okay. For those of you that stayed with me till like midnight last night, hopefully you had a chance to rest. Ooh, okay. So those of you on IG, I'm about to make a modification because you're not going to be able to see ZBrush. Actually, for everybody, potentially the app might crash. The stream might end. Potentially. Again, this is new stuff that's been added in recently, so it's not fully stable. So my apologies if it happens. I'll just start up again afterwards. Okay, those of you on IG, it should appear. Okay. Yeah, I think it seems to be working out. All right, let me start importing some of the basic pieces. Should be able to see that. Okay, we got the basic body. There you go. Import the head. And the eyes. Strobes, thanks for the subscription. Appreciate that. Got another subscriber. We're building up the family, guys. Thank you very much for that. All right, so I want to add the other pieces. Let me see. All right, insert this piece, the eyes. All right, so we got the basic figurine currently set up. The basic 3D model. Little booty, little crown. Okay, not bad. So for those of you that have modeled before, it helps whenever you have at least good geometry to start with. This is by no means perfect, but in other words, you want the polygons to kind of follow around the form really well, so that once you start to build up and add details, you're not fighting those lines too much or the vertices. It'll allow you for a little bit more flexibility. So let me try first just doing a basic division just to add some smoothness, and I'll just start working with my tools to kind of carve it out a bit. Thank you, Fardinator, for the follow. Great name. A lot of obsessions there. Of which, on a side note, another a random project that I did with a good friend of mine, I helped make a book. The book is called A Book Full of Shit. My apologies for the curse word for those of you that are a little squeamish. But it's literally a book all about poop and farts. I know that sounds ridiculous, super lowbrow, but there's some highbrow moments within it. It's very fascinating. If you're interested in seeing that strange avenue of art that I worked on, definitely check it out on Amazon. It's hard to kind of incorporate that into my general marketing of my portfolio. It doesn't quite fit well. So I don't tend to bring it up too often. Now, I'm by no means ashamed of it. I find it to be hilarious, the fact that I was even involved to do something like that. So if you're in fact curious, check it out. Keep in mind, everybody poops. Don't think that you're better than everyone else. So right now I'm just focused on trying to give it a little bit of form. You have the book? Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you do. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it. Do these 3D designs translate easy to 3D printer? That's the hope. So far, yes. So as I'm 3D modeling it, I have to take into consideration what is the structure going to be like. Are there any areas that might be a little bit weak and fragile? Like I can't have thin walls. Is it going to balance well? Like, for example, if I'm looking at this from the side view, I have to think, is it likely to topple over? Is the center of gravity, properly placed? And if not, I have to kind of make little adjustments, tweaks. In fact, you'll notice this with a lot of figurines, a lot of toys. They'll come with like a little base to add some additional structure, like a larger surface area. I will be doing that because it does make it a little bit easier on my end as well as yours. For those of you that end up getting the figurines, it will, actually stand up. It's happened to me before where I get some really cool designs and they're always toppling over and it gets really annoying. So last thing I would want is for you to get mad having to pick up this little guy from falling over all the time. But yes, I will be translating this to a resin print. I think resin prints have higher fidelity. I notice there's an issue with some of the vertices there. I'll have to correct it. Let me just jump into Dynamesh. Yeah, Dynamesh. So Dynamesh is a cool thing within ZBrush that lets you kind of add geometry, like polygons, as you build up your details. So very convenient to kind of smooth out these edges for now. Yeah, so it got very defined because when I did the Dynamesh, what it does is using like an algorithm, it searches where all your edges are, and it thinks essentially that you want to refine those further. So it kind of like squeezes additional edges and vertices closer together, thinking that you want to, sharpen that line. There are settings that I can adjust to not let that happen. But since this is such a minimal, shape, I'm just going in and doing a quick smooth. It's not a big deal. If I go back to my sketches really quick, some I will want to have well defined. Again, the ones on the right-hand side, I want to look very smooth and rounded. The ones on the left, I'm going to have a lot of sharper edges. So that will be a thing I will aim for down the road, but not just yet. At least not with this one that we're working on. Now, with these characters, I want them to look very simple, very cute, very approachable. Hopefully, I will achieve that without too much of a struggle. As far as giving out the STLs, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll make some special ones that I'll make available for everybody. But for now, since I'm really early in this process, I kind of want to keep my cards close and see how far I can take it, especially if I'm not sure if I've perfected the models yet. But I'd be open to doing some open source ones, like even some figurines that can be collaborative, I guess, amongst the community. I think that would be really cool. Make me feel like I'm working more on the body. Yeah, let me switch to a different material. I want the legs to be a bit more defined. Right now, they just look like stumps that are coming out. So let me try just kind of cutting in and imagining where the thighs could kind of be involved. Yeah, try to define those planes a little bit more. Is this psilocybin or LSD inspired art project? No, it is not. It's definitely not. This is inspired by space. If you've ever, wondered about space, the potentials of it, and also the symbolisms of just how amazingly small we are and how much power there is in that. And just how fascinating it is to kind of look at some celestial bodies like that of suns and stars, how much energy is there. And I like to reference the concept of anytime you have a really good idea, you get that visual of that, a light bulb turning on. I think that's really cool. What if the brightest light source that we are currently aware of, but that of like suns? So imagine you get a light bulb, you get a great idea, and you have a whole sun sparking up for your head. That essentially kind of helps summarize this particular concept. These are like little beings of hopefully great ideas. And ideally, I would like anyone that owns one of these or has one of them to feel as if they're a little bit closer to getting great ideas, or they have a way of kind of channeling good ideas in their life. Now, I should preface by saying that good ideas aren't everything. You want to make sure that you actually follow through. You can have the greatest idea in the world, but if you don't do anything with it, if you don't bring it to fruition, it's kind of at a loss. So hopefully these little guys can help bring about those great ideas for you to then kind of grab onto and make happen in the real world. Curious, what do you want to do in your lives? What are you trying to accomplish? What ideas have you given up on or maybe are attempting now? I know this is a little awkward, sculpting the booty. A lot of these figurines are going to have like a little butt to them. I think it's funny. I think it's adorable. And it's a quick call back to the book I helped work on. Plus, it gives a fun surprise for anyone that goes around and looks at the other side. Let me add little dimples. I think it's funny. If you find it offensive, I'm sorry. This figurine's not for you. You gotta be okay with the little booty. Love the butt. I'm glad. I got. Whatever works for you. Again, it's supposed to be adorable. Gotta have the feet sticking out, kind of like footy pajamas of sorts. I don't want to add too many details, like individual toes, because that's going to be very distracting. Again, we want to keep it somewhat minimal, the design. I might want to add in like a little thumb at least, potentially. Not sure, still debating it. Like, for example, and keeping it simple, what if there's just like a little thumb like that? Is that distracting? Too much? Not sure. We love Schmingle in this household. That's great, I'm glad. Again, for those of you that don't know, the unofficial name for this little character is Schmingle. Just because that's just what happened naturally within the chat. I don't plan on giving any official names. Because I think it's fun if people are allowed to kind of name them themselves. In fact, if you get one, I would love to hear what names you give them. And what fun places you end up putting them in your home. We need some Schmingle emotes. All right, a lot of love for Schmingle. For one, we got a lot of other figurines to go through. I'm glad he's getting so much love. But I got to make sure that the others get some too. And I think with the emotes, I'm limited to 3 at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame. I think I have 3 emotes already set up that I had made a long while back. No, just one. There's only one. Ah, that's a shame. Maybe I'm confusing it with Discord. Yeah, it's probably Discord that has a 3. So if I'm not mistaken, I think right now, I'm like middle tier within Twitch. There's like 3 steps to it. Yeah, there's different tiers to it. Hey, if we're able to keep this going, I'll probably reach that final one and get those additional emotes. Maybe I'll do like weekly emotes where we'll vary it up. One day we'll have Schmingle. Another day we'll have another. I'd also like to make some of these into like GIFs or something. Like I spoke of it before that I really like augmented reality stuff. Anything that kind of expands on whatever the artwork is. So if I can have some way to kind of have this, I don't know, animated or have some additional little flair, it would be cool. Your cousin says hi. I say hi back. Hi, cousin. I hope you're doing well. Glad you're checking up on me, even though we've never met. Yeah, that's when we have really good people in the chat. Okay, I'm kind of liking the little thumb. It's a small detail, but it's nice. I want to make sure he has opposable thumbs. If not, we're going to limit him in the world quite a bit. Okay, now I'm just adding like I guess a bit of a fat roll. Just make it feel like it's more of an interactive shape rather than just superficial. 10 years ago? Has it really been 10 years ago? No way. That's crazy. See, my perception of time is so warped. Thank you, Big Jufus. I appreciate the follow. Thank you. 10 years. Wow. I feel old. I need to start designing a cane. All right, so at this point, I might start to overdo it while I incorporate, I don't know, like some muscle structure, like a knee, but I'll try to fix it up back. Was that 10 years ago as well? That's crazy. 2015. Wow. And now off to bigger and great things. Going off to change the world. We're already changing the world. I didn't get to make it to homecoming, but you were at the senior breakfast. Nicholas got skills. I control you. Troll all you like. Just try to keep it a little PG. Got some youngins in here. Yeah. Good cheer. What if I just noticed that the Luma key's looking a little strange? Any inspirational words you guys want to give off to the next generation? Any advice? Okay, that might be way too defined. Looks like he's ready to kick someone's head off. All right, Schmingle is looking too strong. All right, so let me dial it back. Nerf Schmingle. I have to nerf him. He's too OP right now. I can't have him be the strongest character already when we just started building him up. We don't even have the rest of the roster out. All right, let me switch to top of the head. Anytime you're working on something, it helps to kind of take breaks on certain parts, kind of jump around. Like if you're ever working on an art piece, don't just keep drawing or painting the face. As fun as it is, like if you really like detailing the eye and you just want to make that look perfect, don't forget about the bigger picture. So take breaks, jump to another area, work on that for a bit, take a break, jump to another area, and you can build up everything as a whole little by little. So that's the general concept. And speaking of which, this is a good moment to also save your progress. Give me some L's in the chat if you've ever had a program crash on you after you put in so much work. It's a terrible feeling. I gotta save Schmingle. For everybody. For society. We can't let him go. Schmingle V1 official. Lots of L's. All right, so the tops are looking way too spiky. Got to balance this out a little bit more. So I'll just do a bit of inflating. Just to try to get a general shape of it. Again, I'm not too worried about accuracy at the moment. I just want to get a little bit closer to the concept. It's supposed to look like a crown of, like a star crown of sorts, but I don't want it fanning out. Right now it's looking a little too blob-like, so I'll go in and sharpen some edges. Just as a visual reminder. This is the guy we're working on. This little buddy, Schmingle. Any of you out there that want to work on some art yourself, again, always feel free to do so. Join in. And create together. Giving it a little bit more of an edge. I have a Bamboo A1, but don't know anything about designing. Bamboo as in the drawing tablet. Just print dumb things on... Oh, Bamboo, the filament printer. So when it comes to designing... I mean, starting off with a bunch of stuff you find online is always, you know, good, so you can see how other people kind of structure things. If you ever want to have full creative freedom, yeah, you have to get used to trying to model stuff yourself. Now, again, I recommend stuff like Blender. Again, ZBrush is awesome. There are a lot of other starter kind of apps. Or if you're more into the engineering side of things, or like printing stuff that's more useful for day-to-day, you know, problem solving. Like, let's say you want to modify some hardware that you have, some random trinkets in the house. You can use like SolidWorks, which I really want to get into. SketchUp can be pretty popular for that. I associate it more with architecture, but some people like to use it too. And I forgot what else. Well, there was another one. Whatever. Regardless, there are plenty of apps. As far as designing goes, there are so many routes nowadays. Pretty much you have unlimited genres, styles that you can approach things with. Do you want it to be effective? Do you want it to just look cool? Do you want to just experiment? At the very least, you want to start somewhere and don't worry about it looking bad. So long as you have plenty of filament to kind of burn through. But the only way to get good is by trying. You have to just attempt it. And the Bamboo, you're starting off great. Those are, I think, one of the top filament printers out there. Especially being able to switch out the colors. Globe 228. Schmingle my king. Schmingle king. I'm out. Great that you're able to join. Moniker. John Moniker. Check out his music, by the way. John Moniker. Look it up. Spotify. Great stuff to vibe to and dance to. I'm glad you're liking the radio voice. I don't know. This is what feels comfortable when streaming. Yelling doesn't quite work in this setup. Hopefully I won't have to yell. You will see Schmingle in person one day. It's all right. Not that great. Really? It's not that good? Oh, because it's an A1? I don't know. I haven't compared them too much. Don't even want to try to learn. Just telling you I have a printer to make fidget toys. Hey, whatever makes you happy. One thing, like the invention of printers in general, I think just opened up so many possibilities. I think it's one of the best inventions of more modern day. Oh, John Moniker's music's all right. You would say that. I'm sure you troll him all the time. Printer is lit. Tell you what, I suggest people check him out. and then make their own decision whether or not they want to vibe with it or not. At least give it a chance. If you're into at least dancing, having a good party time. That being said, I have to also shamelessly plug, I have my own music too, in collaboration with an interdimensional alien guy. So if you look up Moon Fetus online, you can also listen to that stuff. Haven't released anything in quite some time, but I do have some stuff backed up, ready to release when it feels right. The project happening in November, although it's art related, could easily be paired up with some music, so you can expect some stuff around then. Along with other big news, but nothing yet. Nice guy, Luna. Gotta spread positivity, man. Gotta be a good force in the world. You control, but try to balance it out. Balance. Anyone in here just want to see the world burn? I hope not, but if that is you, at least plant some trees. I appreciate all of you that are on Instagram. Keep in mind, I'm streaming on Twitch as well, Aldo_Infinite Moons. It's a little bit easier to kind of see what I'm working on. Struggling a little bit with the geometry right now, but I'm just trying to get it enough there. Yeah, I'll definitely have to modify that a little more. But the body's looking, I think, nice. For what it is, not too bad. I'd say this is about 60%, maybe. Okay, I'll do a quick save. Then I want to go back to working on Bringle, which is his opposite. This is not done, of course, but again, based on the concept of working on it for a bit, hop into the next, allowing things to breathe so it's easier to kind of notice the imperfections to make corrections later on. All right, so I'm going to hop back into Blender. Now, one of the cool things about this, since the designs are very similar, we can literally duplicate the body and already have a bit of a starter to work with. It should be rather similar. The body's not going to change too much. However, they are merged, or they're supposed to be merged. So I think I'm going to try to do a bit of a Boolean. If it works, we'll see. Actually, this might even be easier in ZBrush. Let me hop back and forth. All right, so simple. I'm going to do a live Boolean. For those that don't know, Boolean is essentially a method where you're either merging or subtracting two different objects from one another. In this case, I will be merging downwards. And to make it slightly easier, I'm going to kind of add a little more volume to the bottom. Then I'll Dynamesh it so that it fills in the geometry in between. Now, I'm by no means an expert. I'm sure there are easier ways to do this. I just know what I know and hope that it gets me most of the way there. Little by little, I'll try to learn the other tricks. So if any of you have suggestions, those of you that are much more experienced, let me know. I'm just going to merge this together. And let me open up the reference and have it off to the side so it's easier for myself and everyone else to kind of see what I'm talking about, what I'm doing. Like currently on IG, you can actually see both simultaneously. So that should make it a lot easier, but I want to translate it well here. So again, those of you that are joining me, I'm on prep for SuperCon. I was invited to be in the Artist Alley to have my own booth set up there. So one of my goals that I placed on myself was to come up with my own figurine collection that kind of connects with the themes of my artworks. And I want them to feel playful, make it fun. There you go, perfect. So I'll be using an app called Pure Ref to kind of show my references. I'll load it up right now on the stream for you guys to see. Those of you on IG, my apologies if you can't fully see everything. Again, I'm very limited to that vertical sort of space, so it's not going to look quite right. So I recommend hopping in on Twitch, Aldo_Infinite Moons, easy to find. Oh, at least that's the concept. All right, so I got my reference here. Actually, we're working on this guy now. Got a big gap, big hole in here. Fill that. Merge along the sides. Those of you on IG, let me see if I can get the reference visible for you guys too. There. It should be popping up on the corner for you guys. If not, again, hop on over to Twitch or YouTube. You can get a better view. YouTube, I don't think it's easy to find just yet. You gotta get the SEO right. Okay, I'm kind of liking the way he's looking so far. Like this little swoop backwards. Now to do these negative parts, I'm going to be doing, again, a bit of Boolean effects. So these appear very cylindrical. So easy enough. Let's get a cylinder in here. And let me not forget to save. Again, if any of you are curious, you got any questions, please feel free to ask. As I try to fix an interface issue. All right, got that working. Perfect. Sorry for the delay. So for those of you that are unaware, one of the cool things about ZBrush is that you can modify the general layout of things. You can shift your buttons around, your brushes. I know it's not visible on the stream because I'm trying to keep it a little clean looking, a bit more minimal. But since you can modify and adjust your overall layout, that customization makes life a lot easier for being able to kind of speed up your workflow. That being said, if your loadout isn't working properly, your layout isn't properly up, it can be a little frustrating to try to adapt to the original. All right, so for those of you that are seeing this, I have a cylinder. I have it placed roughly in the position where there's that big gap that you can see on the reference, a huge little opening. So what I'm going to do is essentially treat this as a Boolean cutout. There you can see that cutout happening. Now we're getting a lot of the polygons showing through. So I'm going to smooth out the cylinder. Make that a little bit cleaner. Give it a quick couple of divides. Yeah, that looks better. I can refine it further later on. Now, I'm not going to delete it because one of the beauties of doing Boolean is it's non-destructive. What that means is I can keep adjusting my other design sorry, let me refine that a little further. I can keep adjusting my initial design without getting rid of what's happening with the cutout. So for example, I'm going to switch on over to like my inflate tool. I'm just trying to get my general silhouette looking nice. This is kind of looking a little bit like horns. It's not what I'm aiming for. So let me flatten out the top a little bit. Okay, it's looking a little better. All right, much closer to the original. Again, I want it to feel kind of like a flat top. If they are horns, they're kind of stopping off, like a bit of a cutout. Yeah, that's cool. Get this edge looking a little tight too. I don't think the back is translating too well anymore, so I'll probably modify that a little bit. I now have this good sort of straight edge going. And I want it contrasting again with the other design that's much smoother looking. Now, you'll notice that there's supposed to be a huge gap in the middle too. So let's do yet another Boolean. I'm going to duplicate the one that I already have. And let's move downwards to this spot. Bam. Just one punched a hole through this guy. Now, the front of his face seems to be a lot smoother in comparison, so I think I'm going to do that. I want the edges looking sharp, but let me smooth out towards the front, flatten it out a little bit. So it transitions into that sharp effect. And make it seem like he's kind of screaming a little bit. I think it's funny. Edge. I like the asymmetry of that slope. I'll probably adjust it a little bit more as I go along. In fact, I might even make it opposite angled compared to the other version. And the arms too are looking too smooth, since it's similar to the previous one, so I want to include some hard edges there. Okay, it's looking cool. I like that. I don't want to flatten out the belly. Or do I? What if we have the bottom flattened out? We get that angle change. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that. That booty though, I don't know if I should flatten that out. I feel like that would be a little rude. Yeah, we got Bringle here. I need to include the more pyramid type shape at the top. I don't know if I have any that I can append though. But I can use a cube. Oops, wrong one. Scale this out. Go thin. Rotate. And subtract it out. Nice. Yeah, that translates well. I like that. Still needs to be modified, but I like the look so far. Ooh, okay. We're already at 9:13. Now, I did mention this at the start of the stream that today was going to be a short one. And this is not because I want to avoid you guys. And definitely not because I want to avoid the work. I have way too much to do. But more because I have an early rise. Got to wake up really early tomorrow. I got to handle a lot of other things unrelated. However, I'm really appreciative of those of you that were able to join. You were able to hop in, randomly say a few things. Great to hear from some of you that I haven't talked to in quite some time. Definitely very nostalgic. Walk through memory lane. I appreciate your support. I know there's a lot for me to do still with Schmingle and Bringle. I'll be saving them out, but I've made quite a bit of progress. I'd say we're about 60% done with them as far as the modeling stage goes. So it's not a bad spot to be, at least with these individual figures. However, if we're thinking bigger picture with all the ones I still need to model, my guess is next week, once things simplify a little bit more for myself, I'll essentially be doing a long, probably day stream, a silent one potentially, where I'm just going to do a lot of modeling just so I can get a lot done. That being said, I am going to stream again this Thursday, 8 p.m., 8 o'clock, 8, my favorite number. I'll be coming back in just to continue to do the same. Next week, I'll probably do some day streams. If you're not able to hop in, no worries. It's more just so I can get a lot done and keep moving forward. Those of you interested, SuperCon, July 18th to the 20th, I'll be there. My booth, B04. I'll keep reminding as I go along. I'm so excited. It's going to be super cool. 8 is also my favorite number. Nice. It's a good number. It's a really good number. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you all have a great night. Sleep well. And if you're interested, I'll see you on Thursday. All right. I'll be seeing you. Be well. Rest up.